Hey everyone, Dave K here, and today we're going to share with you 10 super exciting insider tips for those gondolas. Before they open, want to know what you're getting into? Let me tell you all about it. Let's do it. Tip number 1 on those gondolas, it's that they can comfortably seat 10 people. I was looking up at the gondolas from the outside as we were getting ready to board, and as I've walked by them in the past, I've said to myself, there's no way that these gondolas can fit 10 people. They're tiny. 10 people in there would be super uncomfortable. But once you actually get on the gondola, it's fantastic in terms of seating space. You'll find there's a huge variety of space in there. You can really comfortably fit 10 people, lounge out if you have less than 10 people. So if you're bringing a party of 10, you'll find that you should be quite comfortable in those gondolas. Number 2 on the gondolas is the shading. You'll find that there are 2 different types of gondolas, and those are wrapped and unwrapped gondolas. So let me tell you a little bit about the advantages of each. You'll find that the wrapped gondolas offer you a little bit better shading. You'll find that it's a little bit easier to not have to worry about getting as much sun on your face. Maybe it'll be a tiny bit cooler if you get in one of those wrapped gondolas. So that is an advantage to the wrap. You don't see too much of the wrap from inside the gondola. It's a pretty good view where you can see out the wrap and not have to worry about those characters kind of blocking your view, but you can kind of see them a little bit. If you look from the right angle or you're looking at the right characters, you might be able to have that sort of view. On the other hand, the unwrapped gondolas offer the best views. If you want to take some great pictures or some video footage off of those gondolas, I would recommend the unwrapped gondolas. You can always try a little bit of both. Maybe you can hang back until you see an unwrapped gondola or a wrapped gondola and try to jump on one of those just so you can try them both. But you'll find that both of them are fantastic and they both offer their own unique value proposition. Number 3, let me tell you a little bit about the views on each track. Currently, we've boarded from Hollywood Studios, and we've gone from Hollywood Studios to that hub area at Caribbean Beach Resort. That track is a nice one, but you'll find that you go over the Hollywood Studios parking lot, and there's not too many views to enjoy on that particular track. It is nice to be able to sort of ride the gondolas and sort of feel what they feel like, but the really exciting tracks are the other 2. I really like the track to Pop Century and the Art of Animation. You'll find that you go over that lake as you are traveling to the Art of Animation and to Pop Century. It's really a fantastic view on that one, over the lake, over a lot of natural grass and other natural scenery. Fantastic views, and it's a fairly short trek to go from the Art of Animation to that hub, the Caribbean Beach Resort. Last and definitely not least is the track from the Caribbean Beach Resort to the Riviera and then on to Epcot. You'll see some amazing views on this track, including a variety of different items, which I will touch on a little bit later. But one thing I really do like is you get a little bit of a backstage view. You can see some of the work that's going on Epcot. Take a look at Paris and see that sign for Ratatouille that's under construction. You can kind of see the Eiffel Tower a little bit. So really cool shot of Epcot and a little bit of behind the scenes of Epcot as you're taking that gondola from the Riviera over to Epcot on that second leg of that hub trip to Epcot. The 4th thing I want to touch on is the view at the Art of Animation. I know I talked about that lake that you see as you're flying over it, but you'll find that the Art of Animation is also the only elevated or kind of, it's a bridge really is what it is. It's the only landing on a bridge. So when you get to the Art of Animation from the gondolas, you'll sort of land on that bridge that connects the Art of Animation and I believe the Pop Century Resort. So I believe that bridge connects Art of Animation, Pop Century, but it is sort of across that lake. There's that bridge there. Not really sure what it really did for you in the past, but now they've built the landing for the gondola on that bridge. It's absolutely amazing. Really love that landing on that bridge. You get some fantastic views from the bridge when you land on the gondolas at the Art of Animation and Pop Century. You're standing on that bridge when you land, so when you get out of your vehicle, out of your gondola, you'll be able to see the lake from both sides of that bridge. It's really a fantastic view, and it's worth doing even if you're not staying at Pop Century or Art of Animation. If you like to check out those amazing views, you may want to drop into Pop Century and Art of Animation and just take a look around and see what that bridge is all about. Number 5, on the gondolas, you'll notice that you do have to get off at every stop on the gondolas. So when we go from Hollywood Studios to the hub, we need to get off. And when we go from the hub to the Art of Animation and to Pop Century, we do have to get off, even to get back on to just go right back around to the other location. And I think the reason for this is for crowds. They want to make sure that everyone's continue to be able to get on the gondolas. And so if you find yourself on a gondola and there's a huge line waiting to get on that gondola, they want to make sure that that line can keep moving. They want to make sure that everybody's able to get on. So I think that's probably why they ask everyone to get off at each stop on those gondolas. That being said, tip number 6, you'll find that you cannot get off yet at the Riviera Resort on the gondola trek. So that is the one stop that you do stay on. You ride from the Caribbean beach to the Riviera Resort. Stay in your gondola as the doors open and close, once for exiting, once they open and close for entering, but you stay on for both of those and you'll find that you continue on to Epcot. It really is cool to see sort of that ground level of Riviera and say hi to some of those cast members over there as you're riding over that location, but you cannot get off at Riviera Resort, and I don't believe you'll be able to get off at Riviera Resort until December. So still waiting to see what Riviera Resort is all about, but that is the one stop that you do stay on your gondola. Tip number 7, you'll find the ventilation is fantastic in those gondolas. I know a lot of friends have said they're worried about the ventilation and how comfortable it will be inside those gondolas. But not to worry, you'll find they're very, very comfortable. Now, if you look closely at the gondolas, you'll see that there are several slants at the top of both sides of those gondolas, as well as vents in the bottom of the seats. So you'll see sort of vents directly behind your seat, as well as underneath your seat that connect to the open air. Really creates a fantastic cross breeze to keep you nice and cool inside those gondolas. Now, they'll be even cooler when the gondolas are moving at those high speeds and when they're in the shade. So make sure that you keep that in mind. If you're stopped, and especially if you're in the sun and it's stopped, it can get a little bit hotter, but it's still far more comfortable than standing outside in the sun anywhere else in the parks. For example, if you're in a queue for a particular ride, you'll find that you're far more comfortable riding those gondolas at full speed in the sun. Tip number 8 for those gondolas, an L-turn. There's an L-turn on the gondolas. Most of the gondolas have a very straight track, so you'll find that going from Hollywood Studios over to the Caribbean Beach or from Caribbean Beach over to Pop Century is a really straight track. But when you go to Epcot and when you make your trek to Riviera, I believe it's between Riviera and the Caribbean Beach Resort, there's an L track. That actually might be between Epcot and Riviera, but there's an L track, so you'll find that you do take a turn in the gondola. You kind of go through this elevated area, again, kind of looks like an L or like a U shape, something along those lines. Gondola comes in here and makes a turn and then continues its trek. You stay seated the entire time, just kind of look at the sights and enjoy those, but that's the one time that you'll find that you do make a turn in the gondolas. I thought that was really interesting. It's really cool to experience. But one more thing, I'm going to touch on that here in the next tip. Tip number 9 is about the smoothness and the intensity of the gondolas. You'll find the gondolas are very, very smooth overall. It's a fantastic experience, even when you are getting on the gondola and that takeoff or when you're landing. Although that would be my second most intense part, it's still extremely smooth. They break those gondolas in, or they sort of accelerate those gondolas out of the docking station absolutely perfectly. That sort of speed or the velocity at which the gondolas accelerate is what makes it, in my opinion. So it's sort of a smoothness in acceleration or a smoothness in deceleration that makes the sort of landing and the takeoff of those gondolas so smooth. That being said, that is the second most intense part of the gondola rides, and again, they are extremely smooth rides. Just keep that in mind. I don't think anybody will have an issue with the intensity on these rides, but there's a little bit of shaking as you're taking off or as you're coming in. But the most intense part, in my opinion, is that L turn I was just talking about. As you're making your way to Epcot, when you make that L turn, you find that there is a little bit of shakiness or a little bit of bumpiness in those gondolas when you're making that trek to Epcot. So something to keep in mind, if you want to test out the gondolas but you're not sure how you'll like them and you want to go a less intense route, try to skip that Epcot route for starters. Maybe try going from Hollywood Studios to that central hub, to Caribbean Beach Resort, and see what you think of that before you try going to Epcot, because that L turn is a little bit more shaky, it's a little bit more intense than some of those other tracks. Overall, though, again, I feel that it's very comfortable, very smooth, nowhere near as intense as any roller coasters or anything along those lines, so don't worry about the shakiness on that. It's just a little bit of shakiness when you get to Epcot. Do you agree with me on that one? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. I'm interested to hear your thoughts and looking forward to the gondolas opening up for everyone real soon. And the last tip, tip number 10. This is one of my favorite things about the gondolas. I'm really, really excited for this. I think this was really, really smart on Disney's part. So nice work, Disney. On this one, you'll find that there's a totally separate boarding area for those handicapped or those needing a special assistance to board the gondola. So this is, again, a really smart move. When you get to the hub, you'll see, that's where it was most obvious to me, you'll see that there are multiple boarding areas, and you can approach the gondolas from multiple different directions. So when you get off, let's say you're coming from Hollywood Studios to that central hub, you can go to either Pop Century or you can go to Epcot. And the way that you go to those stations, or the way you board those gondolas, is you walk a little bit to the side of those gondolas. There's sort of a railings, and it's a little bit to the side of where the gondolas actually line up. So you kind of walk down that queue. It's either to the left of the Epcot one or to the right of the Pop Century one. It's closest to you if you're coming from Hollywood Studios. You're going down those sort of walkway railing areas, and you should be able to see that in some of my other videos. Let me know if you're unclear on this. But the handicap entrance is a little bit different. You'll see the handicap entrance is actually directly behind where those gondolas are. So there's a cast member at a sort of operating station. You'll see them with a panel in front of them, and they're standing right next to that special assistance boarding area. So if you need special assistance boarding, you'll see that's the place to go to. My experience so far, I've only been for the cast member preview as of filming, but you'll find that there, at least again in this instance, there were minimal to no queues for that special assistance boarding area. But again, what I really like about it and what I like most about it is the fact that it doesn't stop the rest of the operation. So you can board or you can disembark in that special assistance area, and the gondolas keep going for everyone else. So this is absolutely fantastic. I love how they're able to sort of keep the gondolas moving. I think that's going to be one of the greatest things about the gondolas, is that they've built it in a way to keep it operating as efficiently, as smoothly as possible. I heard someone say that the gondolas can actually have more of a capacity than the monorails or the boats with the rate at which they move and how many people they're able to push through in a given hour. So for me, that's going to be one of the biggest assets of the gondolas, and they're so comfortable. I really, really love the gondola experience. So overall, I think this is a huge win. Really, really looking forward to sharing in the gondola adventures in the future with you. What are your thoughts on the gondolas? Have you had the chance to see them? Have you had the chance to ride them? What are your thoughts on them so far? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks so much for being a part of the fun with me today. What did you think of this gondola chat, this gondola adventure? Are you looking forward to riding the gondolas yourself? Let me know. For more fun, family-friendly adventures, informative chats, and other great times, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to stay informed. Until next time, play on. Hey everyone, Dave K here, and today we're going to share with you 10 super